Hello again. The 1986 Crucible final had an awful lot to live up to. 12 months earlier, 18.5 million people sat up way beyond midnight, glued to their television sets, watching the intoxicating and excruciating drama served up by Steve Davis and Dennis Taylor in the famous black ball final. 1 year on, Steve Davis was back in another final. And if he'd been widely expected to beat Dennis Taylor, and famously didn't, this time he was expected to crush Bradford's Joe Johnson, the 33-year-old 150-to-1 outsider who'd never won a single match at the Crucible before embarking on a fairy tale run that year. The whole of Yorkshire was entranced by his progress, and so was every neutral in the country. Everyone was dreaming of a fairy tale sporting finale, including Joe.
I remember thinking to myself, well, should I touch this trophy now, because I may not get another chance. You know, obviously he was going to win, so I thought I'll just have a little touch. So I approached the final against Steve Davis, thinking to myself, what a great player he is. You know, he'd lost in the final the year previously with that famous black ball, probably the best final ever, and I thought, well, he's going to set his stall out to beat me, and I tried to put him out of my mind completely, so that I was playing the balls rather than Steve Davis, because if you start thinking that you're playing the best player ever, which he was at that time, then you're halfway beaten before you start.
Coming into the '86 World Championship, I had weathered the storm, won events during the season, got my equilibrium back, and was relishing the chance of regaining my title. And just when you thought it was safe to go in the water, and I got all the way to the final against another huge underdog, Joe Johnson decided to play the match and the tournament of his life.
Just shy of his 29th birthday that year, Steve Davis took the opening frame, and in the second, he's 14 points adrift.
Well, that kiss, as it turns out, couldn't have been better.
Five. Seven. Ten.
Well, it does seem that the only problem here can be the blue. He looks to be pretty straight on the brown.
Well,
that brings Steve level on scores. So this obviously the key shot. Just requiring now blue and pink.
Steve Davis.
So a sigh of relief by Joe, and he's got a chance here. So this frame taken twice as long as the first one, so Joe's putting up the fight. Well done, Joe.
8. Nine.
Slightly more difficult having to use the Q extension, and because of that reason he's not ideally placed on the black. Pot is quite easy, but you'll need to develop one or two reds in order to keep the break going. Either that or go for the single red in baulk.
$16.
He's looking very closely at the possibility of a 3-ball plant just directly behind the pink. Well, 4-ball possibly.
And nicely controlled as well. He's sitting on the pink here.
$23. $24. $30. $31. $34. $35. $42. 43.
Well, he's accumulated 43 points so far, and the break has not really been too easy because of the situation of the balls, but next couple of shots we should see it develop.
$50.
Oh, and that's a nice little kiss on the blue. And Steve certainly still looking fresh after that tremendous match he's had. I wonder if perhaps a little later Willie Thorne might be able to enlarge on that, whether he should be tired after such a tough match.
$53. $54.
Well, a useful kiss to leave him on the brown, but still got to break into the reds to maintain the break. And he couldn't have played it any better.
59. $66. $67.
So Steve now safe, and quite a nice possibility of a nice sized break here.
74. 75. $82. 83. 89. 90. 97. 98.
Well, it'll be interesting to see how he handles the green. The rest of the colours on their spots, more or less. And there he tried to give it a little kick. Oh, what a beauty. And that must make him feel pleased. But he's got to get another one. So even applause from Joe there for a lovely 100 break. Well, he can obviously see a problem there, and I would suggest it's the fact that he's not straight on the black makes it very difficult when it's so tight.
Joe Johnson. Seven. Eight.
Well, Steve has intentionally potted that red because it clears the black into that right-hand corner pocket. But finishing as straight as he has on the black. I was about to say he was limited in the shot that he could play. And may
15.
possibly now have the same problem.
$16. $22. $23.
Well, he's certainly on the pink, but he cut that one a little bit fine. Now the black does go
29.
into the right-hand corner, but he's still sticking to the pink.
36.
Not quite as he intended. He was looking for a thicker contact on the red, which was not too far away from the cue ball, so now a different choice of red.
And this really is a beautiful break that Steve is making. He's using very few cannons and pinpointing the cue ball.
$43. 44. 50. 51.
Back in position, now requiring the black and one of the three remaining reds to secure the frame.
$58. 59. 66. 67.
Well, again, very clean and tidy break. Colours virtually on their spots again. So
74.
this could be formality.
75.
And this really is a classic break from Steve Davis. He's playing so
80.
well now that he's putting the absolute minimum
82.
of effort into the stroke, but getting the maximum from it.
$85. 89. 94.
'So there's the 100. And a lovely break. So Steve Davis leads by 3 frames to 1 at the interval.
Well, Steve Davis had this habit of really punishing people. I remember the year before he was 8-0 up with Dennis Taylor, and he'd beaten Mike Hallett 9-0 in one of the big tournaments as well. And I just thought to myself, well, every time you get a chance, just try and make sure that you win the frame. You know, don't give up frames, if you like. Don't take them too lightly. Stay with him.
One.
I think one of the problems for Joe, he's not certain where the pink's going to go after he's potted it. He's not certain if it'll go on the pink spot or that red in the open there will be covered up by the pink.
Seven. Eight.
Well, just a couple more reds to make this frame
15.
safe. And a good performance considering what had happened in the last two frames.
16. $23. 24.
So that red means that Davis needs a snooker. And because he couldn't get his body right down to play his last shot, Johnson didn't get his positional play as accurate as he might have done. Nevertheless, all is well, and he can congratulate himself on coming back so strongly after the mid-session interval, after having 2 century breaks put on him in the 2 previous frames.
32, Joe Johnson.
Davis concedes, Johnson narrows the gap to 1 frame.
Well, he can obviously get through to this red, and now a good chance for Joe. Just having a look after potting the pink into the right centre whether he could stay on that red. Now gone 6 points in front, and the only difficult ball, it appears to me, could possibly be the green. Now this is the important shot. 12 points in front, so once yellow, green and brown. And Joe just having a look where he's got to screw back off the yellow. Of course, if the green was on its spot, it'd be quite simple.
15.
So, Davis scored first with 35, but he only added one more red as Johnson played some very tight, competitive match snooker to win the frame and level the match at 3-all.
12 months earlier, Davis had famously gone 8-0 in front against Dennis Taylor and still lost. But this time, Joe Johnson was determined to stick with him a lot more closely in the early stages. But suddenly, after breaks of 84 and 53, Davis found there was clear blue water between them. 3 frames as he led 7 frames to 4. But even then, the Nugget was certainly not taking anything for granted.
I don't remember anything about the final. The only shot I remember of the final was Joe potting a ball down the rail from the top side cushion all the way down into the green pocket and just taking on shots with breathtaking ease. He just didn't have a care in the world. Such a great cueist.
Great shot.
One. Eight.
This time Joe is taking the half butt. Earlier in this final he used his own telescopic cue, which wasn't terribly successful with.
Nine. Sixteen. Seventeen.
Joe keeps looking at that red at the back of the pike. And the Lutes have got the perfect position on it.
23. 24.
They have broken beautifully for him.
32.
Every chance now of pulling this frame out of the bag.
38. 39. 45.
Now a little stun up off the red for the pink into the right hand corner pocket.
46. Okay, no left, please.
Joe is a terrific player and a great temperament for match play. Probably his greatest attribute coming through this World Championship is his cool, calm and collected manner at the table.
So already 32 points in front, so if he could get 2 pinks off 2 of these loose reds, that would be sufficient to leave Steve needing snookers.
53. 59.
May have to go down for the blue off this red.
$65. 66. 72. 72, Bill Johnson, and the break.
Well, Joe Johnson has made 3 centuries in this championship, but that's the highest break in the final, a break of 72. And he now trails by just 2 frames.
The support of the people absolutely certainly helped me, without a doubt. They were fantastic. Every time I got a good shot, I could hear the thunderous applause, and it was fantastic to have that kind of support.
Foul 4, Joe Johnson.
Taken quite naturally. Difficult red along the top.
Yes, Ted, it was a lot more difficult shot than it looked. Knew he would be leaving Steve if he missed it. But now giving himself an excellent chance in this frame. Already 20 points in front.
15.
He was 3 times Yorkshire amateur champion and turned professional in 1979. It's taken him 7 years to get to this stage, the stage of the World Championship final.
16.
And this is the last of the easy reds.
23.
And of course it's not enough for Joe to win the frame, so he's looking now, I think, to go down near the baulk cushion off this red, so that he's got an angle when potting the green to come down and split the 3 reds.
24.
So now 39 points in front, just needs the red and 1 more colour to leave Steve needing snookers again. And Joe just checking the board. And just run out of position a little bit there. Just checking he's 40 in front, so needs at least the green. I think we may see him play a snooker here.
And John, what a brave shot that was.
Yes, that's a great shot. Puts him 43 in front now with 43 left on the table, and of course knew he was leaving this ready and he missed it. And that virtually clinches this frame now.
Joe Johnson.
That knock of 32 was enough to bring Johnson within 1 frame of his decorated opponent. He's got a slight advantage in the next, but Steve is eyeing up a red here.
The next red could win him this frame.
7, Steve Davis.
And this is hard to believe. He's missed the same shot now into that pocket, identical, I would say 3 times. So now got to be an excellent opportunity for Joe. Unfortunately for Joe, I think the green is covering the brown spot. So should he pot the brown, of course it will come back down to the black spot. So Joe electing to take the green instead.
Four.
And he's over his problems. Just a little care now, and the match is all square.
Nine.
So just the brown and blue now to put this frame safe. Steve must be wondering how he's lost this frame with the chances he's had.
Well, this frame has been going to and fro throughout. Finally, Joe Johnson takes it and makes the match all square at 7 frames each. And Joe Johnson's away straight away.
Yes, those are the sort of reds Joe's been knocking in all week. But again, a crucial shot. This red, he'll be going into the pike.
Nine. $16.
So now a choice could run down for the red into the right and centre pocket, or may elect to disturb these reds again just above the black.
$24.
Probably screwing back for the blue here to get away from the side cushion.
25. $30. $31.
playing with complete ease.
38.
And of course, the way the reds are set, each time he pots one, it opens up the
39.
path for another one into the opposite corner pocket.
Six. 47.
I would like to have come a little lower on the black there to get up for the reds into this right hand corner pocket.
The capacity crowd appreciating every move he makes.
55. 57. 58.
'So just one red and one more colour to leave
64.
Steve needing snookers. Could just screw for the black or leave the pink into the centre of this red.
65.
And you're just looking at the board. And I'm sure if it was me playing this shot, I'd be screwing off the pink onto this back cushion so that I didn't play a position for a red.
He seems to be playing the same game as you, John. Oh, brilliant! He made a 72 in the 12th frame, his highest in the final. He's now equalled it. And about to go a little better.
$75. 75.
Some brilliant potting then by Joe Johnson. A break of 75 and only 59 points left on the table. And that's going to be a bit short.
As I said before, these are the ones Joe's been knocking in all week. It was a long way off with that one.
Bit wild, John.
1. Eight. 9.
And Steve taking no chances at all here. Now 70 points in front, so just wants
14.
the one red to clinch this frame.
15. 21. 22.
And so it's been some entertaining snooker in this first 16 frames of the first day's play of the World Final.
29. 30. Quiet, please. 37. 38.
'Terrific stuff. Some great potting by both players. Superb safety.
44. 48.
The last red disappears, and Joe Johnson without a point on the scoreboard.
$54. 56. 59.
And so clinically, Steve Davis whitewashes Joe Johnson in our final frame of the day. But Joe Johnson takes the honours.
63.
He's drawn level over the 16 frames of the first day's play, and they share the match, 8 frames each.
68. 74.
'They shake hands on the brilliant 81, but it's all square, 8 frames each.
So at 8 frames all, this was not the lap of honour for Davis that many people had predicted. This was very tight and very delicately poised. And so into frame 17 we go.
56, Steve Davis.
And rather a surprising miss by Steve there. Just a little twist of his hand there as he went through with a shot.
One.
Well, Joe will want to be on this red as straight as possible
8.
in order that he can run through for the black.
Nine.
He's tried to leave himself an angle at which to take one of the 3 reds into the left-hand corner pocket, but he may possibly have finished a little too straight.
$16. $17.
Well, that's set Joe up here for every chance to take the frame.
$24. $25. $30.
And that sounded like a kick. And sure enough, John Street giving the ball a clean.
31.
Fortunately, he's away from the side cushion, and just the black now is going to put Joe safe. $37 points ahead, with a possible 35 still on.
38. Joe Johnson.
So it's Johnson, the underdog, 9 frames to 8 in front. And you know, on the very, very smallest of margins, titles are won and lost. Just take a look at what happens in frame 18.
Well, that is a cruel fluke, and one must sympathise with Steve there. That's really hurts, and at such a vital stage. Now, of course, if Joe can take this frame, he now has a cushion of 1 frame.
4. 6.
There's no reason why he shouldn't, because the yellow was not as easy as he planned, but he's back perfectly in position.
9. 13.
So Joe goes 2 ahead, needs the blue and the pink. And he's on the pink. So Joe gets the fluke of the final so far and makes it 10-8.
And I certainly got the luck in that final. You know, I watched it back afterwards, and there was certain times where the luck went with me, and I won important frames with that little bit of running, and maybe that affected him.
So 25 ahead now, Joe. 35 points remaining. So we're in this situation again where who takes this red could very well be the winner. Well, that rather poor effort by Joe, he might pay for that. Well, I recall that statement.
Well, he's having the run-in, but you've got to take it when it comes your way. Steve, of course, has the problem of not only hitting the red, but trying to keep it safe. It would be a disaster for him should Joe have a chance at a pot.
Foul. 6, Joe Johnson.
So now 31 points ahead, and this red will make Joe comparatively safe.
Quiet, please. Thank you. One.
And nicely on the yellow.
5.
And what a session this has been. Quite unbelievable. And one, in fairness to Steve, one must say that as well as Joe has played, and my word, he's played well, he's certainly had the running, but then again one can say that he's overcome the big occasion, well, as nobody thought he could. So it's great credit to him. So without question of doubt, Joe is going to take all 4 frames in this first session. to lead by 12 frames to 8, and that gives Steve quite a task. So 12 frames to 8 it is.
And I just remember thinking, well, he's outplaying me. And I really struggled. I tried as hard as I could to get back in every session.
Joe Johnson.
Well, obviously Johnson thought that plant was on, but he could regret playing it now.
One. Eight. Nine. $16. $17.
Noticeable since coming out after the interval that Steve just staying down a little bit longer on the shot, walking round and just thinking positive thoughts. His record since he came into the professional game has been, well, just unbelievable really.
24.
But I feel that this is probably the greatest challenge he's ever had to face.
$25. $31. $32.
Just a pink now to leave Joe Johnson needing snookers in this frame.
$38. $39. $45. $46. $52. 52, Steve Davis.
And with that break of 52, Steve Davis closes to 3 frames behind. Joe Johnson still leading 12 frames to 9.
Well, the next 2 were shared, so it's now 13 frames to 10 in the underdog Johnson's favour. In we go to frame 24. Steve to play, no score.
A lot of pressure on this shot.
There was indeed no position guaranteed if he got it. Every possibility of leaving a very good opening for his opponent if he missed it.
Seven. Eight. $14. $15.
Well, that was a nice shot by Steve, clearing that red. So after potting the black will be available in both corner pockets. And I'm certain that a nice big break here
22.
would be a nice boost for him.
23.
Yes, if Davis can win this frame,
30.
perhaps with this visit to the table, a deficit of 2 frames going into the final session would be recoverable, obviously.
31.
If we were to lose it, a deficit of 4 would take some retrieving.
$38. 39. $46. 47.
48.
54. 55. 61. 62.
'Just this pink and one more red would lead the frame safe. And a good performance this by Steve. Certainly looked to be on the ropes at one
68.
stage. I said earlier that this was one of his great challenges, and mainly because he's not really played his best, whether it's due to the pressure or what have you. When he came from behind against Willie Thorne in the UK, Willie was playing brilliantly, but so was
75.
Steve. So this is a little bit different for him. And in this frame, showing that he can stand up to it.
Yes, when he was 12-8 down, this world final looked as if it could be slipping away from him. But he's sure of winning this frame now.
83.
So it'll be 3 out of 4 for him since the mid-session interval.
84. 91. 92. 99.
'Davis's third century of this final, following his consecutive efforts of 108 and 107 in the third and fourth frames. So, with that break of 100, Steve Davis takes the last frame of the afternoon, but it is Joe Johnson who takes a 13 frames to 11 lead into the final session.
What a match. And it's the underdog, 33-year-old Joe Johnson, who led going into the final session, 13-11. Remember, this is a man who hadn't to this point won a single ranking title in his career. And here he was, leading one of the iconic players of the 1980s, Steve Davis. In fact, with the Yorkshire crowd now beginning to sniff an upset, they got firmly behind their man in the evening. Joe Johnson surged ahead even further, 15-12. It's Steve to play, frame 28.
One.
So he's in position.
Three.
'Cause
Well, would you believe that? And that is so unlike Steve. And a gift of a chance here for Joe. Couldn't ask for more than this.
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen. Quiet, please. Two.
One never likes to use the word pressure too loosely, but surely that's the reason that Steve missed the black.
5.
So Joe now 25 points ahead. And without any problems, he should clear the colours.
And Steve was picking up his rest to say, well, that'll do, and he's put it back again. 25 points behind, 22 on the table.
And that frame indeed went to Johnson. He's 2 frames away from the most incredible of victories at the Crucible. 16 frames to 12 in front.
10. 11. 16.
And everything's slotting into place.
16, Joe Johnson.
This will have to be a fine one.
Foul. 6, Joe Johnson.
And could be a free... No, it's not quite. There's £112,000 resting on this final. 70,000 to the winner and 42,000 to the loser. I think his eyebrows were applauding the shot before he got it.
And he's just playing as though you would think he was in a club handicap.
9.
Doesn't seem to have any pressure at all on him. And of
16.
course, 4 open reds could be enough for Joel. Wouldn't need to bother with the 2 on the side cushion.
17.
His agony is turning into a nightmare.
24. 25.
So Joe now 29 points in front. So just needs 14 points off these two open reds.
$31. 38.
So just this red and the blue, pink or black would be sufficient to leave Steve needing snookers.
39. 46.
Bradford's Joe Johnson, rewriting the history books.
46. Joe Johnson.
At 17-12, I was expecting him to go 17-13, 14, 15, and I might get over the line in one of them. So I think that kind of relaxed me, that I expected him to do it.
Here he is, on the brink, just wanting one frame.
Touching ball.
chance for Steve here, but pressure shot. And I think that's the difference with Steve. Normally, we'd have seen him knock the red in by the side of the blue and been sure of position.
One, Steve Davis.
Joe Johnson has learned a great deal during this championship. We've always known him to be a terrific putter, but his safety play has also been impeccable.
Steve refusing pots that I couldn't believe he would refuse.
Yes, he's at it again, and the crowd are loving it.
Well, I couldn't believe that Steve refused the two reds he had chance of there. And played a safety shot, and of course Joe back in again now.
7. Fourteen. 15.
And of course, when the pressure's on, wanting one frame for the championship, there's nothing better than a few points lead early on in the frame to give you that bit of confidence.
Twenty-two, Joe Johnson.
Yes, things are not right at all.
1. Six.
And again, Steve not getting the right contact on the reds there. No, just a safety shot left.
Six. Steve Davis.
Well, that certainly looked in the pocket. Quite regularly he finds that bulk cushion.
So another chance for Steve here.
And John, that shot surely says it all.
Yes, but that's probably the wildest shot I've seen Steve play in 3 or 4 years. He just threw his cue at that one.
They're both at it now.
One.
Those little touches make so much difference.
Six.
Now just a screw for the pink into the opposite middle.
7.
And I don't think the pink will spot, so it gives Steve a chance here. The pink going on the black spot.
14. $20. $20. Steve Davis.
Another miss by Steve. Looked all set, but now just 5 points in front.
Yes, and one can only think that the pressure is getting to Steve. And of course, misses like that will just increase Joe's confidence.
And treating it as another game of snooker.
$6.
And Joe will be, I'm sure, thinking now, all I've got to do is hold myself together and the championship's mine.
7.
There's enough reds all round the centre of the table.
$13.
Obviously too straight on the red in the middle, but would want to be the other side of the blue.
14.
Right back in position.
$20.
And he'll certainly never have a better chance than this of becoming world champion. 15 points in front.
And Steve must be becoming resigned now to
26.
becoming runner-up for the second year running. What a tournament to win for your first one, the World Championship.
And Joe, quite rightly, not rushing at all this break. You can obviously see this is the one.
$27.
By taking the green there, of course, it means he needs both reds, red and a colour, and the last red to clinch this vital
31.
frame.
Just 17 days ago, he was a rank outsider. Steve, just waiting in his chair, I'm sure, to... The brilliant putting of this fella from Bradford. Nothing to stop him now. The cue ball, not quite. It must be said he's had the run of the balls, but it takes nothing away from his brilliant putting. And still thoroughly enjoying every moment of it. The crowd here at the Crucible are going mad for Bradford's Joe Johnson. The most remarkable world final I've ever seen. And Joe Johnson defeats Steve Davis 18 frames to 12 as the capacity crowd go completely mad.
The shock of the 85 final and how I felt afterwards, it was nowhere near the same playing Joe. It was like, well played. What you outplayed me, 18-12. What can I say? Great performance, well played. Obviously disappointed, desperately disappointed, but it didn't take me long to get over that because I got beaten.
I mean, the emotions that I felt was just fantastic elation. There's no words that could explain it. All the world champions will feel the same feeling, is that you've finally achieved the ambition that you've always hoped for.
This was, by any standard, a seismic sporting surprise. The 150-to-1 outsider, 33-year-old Joe Johnson, reaching the pinnacle of his sport, having never won a match at the Crucible before that year. And he went on to prove that it was absolutely no fluke, because 12 months later he was back in the final again in the defence of his title in a carbon copy showdown against Steve Davis, although on that occasion the nugget prevailed, 18 frames to 14. But Joe Johnson is living proof that in sport every underdog has their day, and in Joe's case it was fully deserved as well.
It was fantastic to lift the trophy, take it back to my club, and everybody have the picture with the trophy and me. It was quite special.